Hey, Ben Davis University students, Professor Norman here with a weekly check-in. It's week 10 of the semester. I hope everybody's doing okay. If you're like me, you're kind of, hanging on, just got to survive this next month. Truthfully, we are almost exactly 1 month away from the end of the semester. The end of the semester for us is going to be December the 11th. That is the final deadline. That's finals week for the Vincennes campus, and that's the last day that I can accept any work as well. We'll worry about that as we get a little bit closer, but just so you know, we're within the final stretch because we're within a month as I'm recording this today on November 10th. It's almost exactly a month away. When you throw in things like the Thanksgiving kind of break and things like that, it's getting very, very close. There really aren't a lot of weeks left to do work. And that's a good and a bad thing, depending on where you're at with this semester. We just need to hold on. A couple of things that I wanted to just kind of remind you about as far as this week goes. We're making the transition now from the gathering research stage into writing the problem essay. The problem essay will be due at the end of this week, and it's a big drafting week for us. All of our work for the week really builds towards that, so I hope that you'll pay attention to those deadlines because the sequence of them is really, really important. The self-review at kind of like the midweek point is it's not set in stone. If you need an extra day or two on that, that's fine. I'm not gonna take off any points from that, but it's really important that you do that and then be able to give yourself a certain amount of time, maybe only a day or two, before you really start doing some more elaborate revision and editing and things like that, just to finish up the essay and make it strong. At that point, I would encourage you to do the reflection task. You just did a reflection. Well, that was more like for your rough draft. The reflection task that I'm talking about for task, I believe it's 10.4. That's more like a final thoughts thing, but I schedule it ahead of the final submission just in case, as you're reflecting on something, it springs to mind anything that you realize, oh no, I forgot of this thing, and I need to fix that, and then you can go back and fix it. If you do that after the fact, it'll obviously be too late. So that's my thought process there. That's why we have those two reflection tasks kind of back to back, but not really if you're following the pacing for the week. And then of course you submit the problem essay, the final submission. And yeah, just use all of the notes and the videos. I posted another video from the Vincennes campus where I gave some suggestions and some kind of quick notes about how to draft the essay. And then there's some other videos on the Blackboard site that kind of delve deeper, including I've already gotten a couple of questions about those quote burgers and what you're supposed to do with those. And that's great. I'm glad to get that. I'm glad to help with any of that kind of stuff. So one thing I'm also in process of doing that I want to let you guys know as I'm recording this on Tuesday morning is I'm grading the outlines that you guys submitted, and I hope to have those done by tonight so that you can incorporate any adjustments as needed. So far, everything I've been seeing looks pretty good, but there might be a couple of things where a thesis might need to be fixed, or there might be a section that's not quite doing everything it should be doing. Sometimes people accidentally make the problem essay into more of a pro-con essay, and we don't really want to do that because that's kind of more like covering the controversy around the problem as opposed to just covering the problem. It's a fine distinction. So I want to give some advice to that because I don't want the paper to get off track that way. The other thing that I just want to remind you about, and I mentioned this in some of my other videos, is just remember not to address the problem in terms of how to solve it. Not yet. Wait till next week before you start thinking about that kind of stuff. Right now we're just explaining the problem. Here's the problem. Here's what we know about it. Here are the facts. That's it. That's really all there is to the paper. And remember that it should be 800 to 1,200 words. That's mentioned in a couple of places, but I've gotten a couple of questions about it. I thought it might be helpful to mention that. Really try to stay under that 1,200 word maximum as well, which has been a challenge for some of my English students on campus. They turned theirs in last week, so got kind of that head week start, and those are some things I've noticed from them that you can build on and do a better job than they did for this essay as well. One other thing I just wanted to talk about for a minute or two here is about our, kind of scheduling, the deadlines, and the idea of late work. Unfortunately, with us being a little bit over a month until the end of the semester, but also kind of not really when you count the holiday in there, we're just kind of out of time for that. And believe me, Part of it, I take full responsibility for. I've been extremely lenient with deadlines up to this point, but just considering, the nature of the world and considering some scheduling snafus on my part as far as, like not necessarily accommodating for the BDU break and stuff as well as I could have, I was glad to do that. I want to be extremely flexible, and I want to continue to be, but it's also important just for the sake of time so that I'm not getting emails like on December, 10th saying like, oh, can I turn in the last 3 essay assignments? It's like, I mean, that's not going to be successful. That's just not. I mean, people have tried and it's never been successful. When you're rushing, there's just no way that you can do the work that I've scheduled out to take place over the course of, like 3 or 4 weeks in 2 days, right? It's just not possible. So what I've done is I've posted some information in the syllabus section of Blackboard, kind of clarifying some of our procedures going forward. To be really clear, our late work, our deadline policy is the same as it's always been. It's actually, I've kind of relented on that. I'm relaxing it a little bit from what was posted in the syllabus. The Vincennes University English Department philosophy for late work is pretty strictly stated. It's basically you do it by the deadline or you start losing points right away. If it's a small assignment, you do it or you don't do it. No grace period, no late submission for that kind of stuff. I'm still allowing for a late submission up to a certain point. And then after that point, you'll start losing points, or you might not get as much feedback. I really appreciate that. If it helps for you to think of it as doing me a personal favor, great. I appreciate you helping me out in this way. But I think it'll also be really beneficial for just every student as well, because there's no sense kind of getting strung along and then driving yourself insane trying to make up like 5 weeks worth of work in 1 week. As I said before, it's not physically possible. Not to mention with everything else that you've got going on. And I know there are other classes, there are job commitments, family requirements, responsibilities, all of that kind of different stuff. All very legitimate stuff. All stuff that would be very crazy and stressful if we weren't in the middle of a pandemic. So I want to just remind you that I'm totally cognizant of that and totally understanding to it, but we are just about at the end here, and we have to be really clear about that. So please, everybody, I want you to go and take just a couple of minutes to go look at the information that I posted about that late work policy and procedures. It's kind of a clarification, right? I'm not changing anything. It's just a clarification. It makes it more precise for what you can expect. Read through that. It's a little bit long because I wanted to give a lot of examples so you can know exactly what to expect. And then at the bottom, there's a link to a one-question Google form where I just want you to tell me that you have read this. By doing that, it just gives me assurance that you've read it and you understand it, and you're going to do the best that you can. Right? It doesn't mean that there won't still be problems. There won't be some weeks that just go crazy, but hopefully there won't be 3 weeks in a row that go crazy, right? Maybe this will be helpful. Even if you're a day or two late here and there, that's okay. I've accounted for that in the policy, but not like always 1 or 2 weeks late, because at that point you're really kind of taking advantage of something in a way that's not necessarily equitable to everybody else in the class. So I hope that all comes from the right place, from a place of just wanting what's best for you guys and to be most successful in the class. If you don't read it that way the first time, I understand. I probably wouldn't either. But the bottom line is, we just got to get our work done on time, or as close to on time as possible, and that will make your life easier. It will make my life easier. It'll improve the world in a small way, very small way. Not only that, if you make sure to sign your name as, kind of confirming to me that you've read it and that you understand it, you'll get 10 bonus points to your homework grade. So for a couple of you guys, they're all like, Professor Norton, I'm going to try so much harder. I'm going to do better. Do you have any extra credit opportunities? Well, here you go. You're going to do better by following this policy, and you're also going to be eligible for 10 bonus points. So, win-win. Make sure to do that by the end of this week. So that you can get those bonus points. Of course, reach out if you have any questions or concerns about it. If you can agree with that and continue to email me with any questions and things like that, I think we'll have a pretty successful end of the semester. It's going to be a wild ride. We've got a lot to pack into this last 4 weeks, but I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with, especially for this problem essay. And then next week we shift into the problem solving essay, which will be really fun because then we can kind of try and take a stance on it and see if we can't make the world a better place, you know, in again, maybe a small way. So that's all I've got for you guys here in this rather long check-in video. Email me if you have any questions, mnorman@binu.edu, and good luck. Stay safe and stay healthy and stay as positive as possible. I'll talk to you guys again maybe next week, maybe the week after that, but take care.